This episode of the Indy Boys Racing Podcast was recorded on February 21st, 2022. So if there's any news that we missed in the episode, then sorry about that. Also, there is a slight trigger warning in this episode as there may be some slightly mild language used. So if you're going to be triggered by some slightly mild language, please watch the episode with caution. But other than that, thank you. Enjoy the episode.
And after an incredible weekend of auto racing, we are back. Thank you for listening to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. My name is Tristan Grider, joined with, as always, Daniel Chaney. Say what's up, Daniel.
What's going on, guys?
Also, always joined, the man himself from Anderson, Indiana, Justin Cox. How are we doing today, boys?
What they do, baby boos?
It's going to be a great episode. Sorry, we are on a racing high. It was an incredible weekend of racing at the Daytona International Speedway. Congratulations to Austin Cindric on winning his first Daytona 500 and his second start in the 500 himself. 8th start in the Cup Series. Pretty dope for Austin Cindric. Also, congratulations to Zane Smith for taking home the Truck Series win, and Austin Hill for taking home the Xfinity Series win. It was an incredible weekend at Daytona. Let's get right into it. And here we go. Let's start with qualifying on Wednesday. It was an incredible speed week at the Daytona International Speedway, starting with Wednesday qualifying. Kyle Larson and Alex Bowman put up the fastest times for the Fast 10 in Daytona. Super cool for Hendrick Motorsports getting that fast time up there. All 5 of the Hendrick Motorsports cars were in the top 5 in qualifying, so pretty interesting to see how fast those Chevys were in qualifying. Anything to say about Larson or Bowman?
I'm proud that Bowman got the front row again for the last what is it, like 4 or 5 years now.
I'm pretty sure he tied I think he's had it every 5 years in a row.
5 now. Yeah. So I'm happy that Bowman. I just wish he had more luck in the race, but that's how it normally goes, and I don't know why.
Every year.
Yeah.
Every year. Daniel, anything to say about qualifying that you thought was interesting?
I mean, like, I feel like Kyle Larson getting the pole, like, it made sense. Like, it
did.
As much as he's not, like, that great on super speedways typically, or at least, like, he's very unlucky, like, he is still one of the fastest cars.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I saw that happen, I was like, oh gosh, we're about to get another Kyle Larson, like, dominating season. But, I've kind of, we're all used to it because of just last year. So I wasn't surprised, but, like, it was definitely, like, a little different than, like, what you would typically see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving into the Daytona Duels. Thursday night, we had 2 races, and they were dominated by a surprising Ford team. RFK Racing put on a show in the Daytona Duels. Let's go ahead and start with the first duel. The open cars that we had fighting for a spot was Kaz Gralla and JJ Yaley. Oh, I guess I should go back to qualifications really quick. Jacques Villeneuve and Noah Gregson locked themselves in on speed to the 500, so super cool for that 27 and that 62. Seeing as that 62 missed the 500 entirely last year. So Daytona Duel number 1, we were seeing Yaley versus Gralla. They were both struggling, and it really looked like that Yaley was going to get the spot after Gralla had a speeding penalty on pit road. But Gralla passes Yaley coming out of turn 4 to secure his Daytona 500 spot, which means the Money Team Racing made the Daytona 500 in their first attempt. So that is super dope. And MBM did not make it with the 55. So that is disappointing for cryptocurrency and disappointing. I know a lot of people that, like, I'm not a crypto guy, but I did think that was a pretty beautiful car, that 55 car. So disappointing for JJ Yaley, a veteran in the sport, not making the 500, but he is in an MBM car, so it's not like he would have been expected to win or anything, but as we see in the Xfinity race later, JJ actually had a pretty nice day over there. But winner of duel number 1 was Brad Keselowski in the 6 car for RFK Racing. Just found a way to get to the front and actually, honestly, ran a pretty clean race and won the stage. Anything to say about duel number 1, guys?
Wreck-It Ralph took it home, bub. That's all I gotta say. What do you got, Daniel?
I mean, I was gonna say that the fact that that duel was really clean
Oh yeah.
and won by Brad Keselowski, that was some foreshadowing. Like ironic foreshadowing of just what was to come the rest of that week, but really funny to think about how like during the duels, like the first race was very clean and the second race wasn't clean, and yet the winner of the cleanest race was like the dirtiest driver all week, I would
Yeah.
say. So I don't know. In retrospect, that is kind of funny.
Well, it is what it is. Moving on to duel number 2. This one was a little bit more, I guess, interesting for me personally, even though this one didn't have the Money Team Racing competing. This one had 2 open cars, one being the 44 for NY Racing, which was Greg Biffle returning to the Cup Series, and the second being Timmy Hill in the 66 for MBM Motorsports. So let's go ahead and talk about duel number 2. Again, another extremely clean duel race until the final lap. Timmy Hill ran into some problems with his car, ended up going 3 laps down early. So he was really never in contention for that open spot. So it pretty much by default went to Greg Biffle, even though he ran out of gas on the final lap. So congrats to Greg Biffle and NY Racing for making the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Final lap, Joey Logano is leading, being pushed by Chris Buescher, Harrison Burton, and Austin Cindric, going down the back straightaway. Chris Buescher makes a move. Joey makes a late and a bad block, spins his car, slams into the wall, makes contact with Harrison Burton, and crunches that car up too. Just a 2-car wreck. Joey was visibly pissed with himself. Wasn't mad at Buescher at all, but just angry with himself, I feel like. But that means that Chris Buescher wins. Actually, it wasn't Austin Cindric that he was being pushed by. It was Michael McDowell.
Yeah.
Chris Buescher narrowly beats Michael McDowell in winning duel number 2. So RFK Racing sweeps the Daytona Duels. I don't know what the odds were on that, but if you would have put that in Vegas, I couldn't believe it, even when I was watching it. Like, I just couldn't believe it. The duels were fairly clean all weekend, which is surprising of how many wrecks that we had in the actual 500. So, anything to say about the duels, Dan?
I mean, with the RFK sweep, I don't think anyone would have called that, especially since at the Clash they were 2 of the slowest cars. So it was definitely like, it's like, whoa, like obviously the package is different and it is a new car. And super speedway racing is always going to be different. But it was a little surprising, I will say, especially since they were dominant a good portion of the weekend. So I don't know. It just proves that like I feel like this year is going to be really unpredictable with just who does well in what race. So that was just my takeaway from this week. Could I be proven wrong? 100%. But that was just my takeaway. What about you, Jay?
I mean, you can easily predict. I mean, I guess you can predict the RFK cars, but like after looking at the Clash, and I mean, I guess that's 2 completely different tracks. But I mean, like Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher, both excel really well on super speedways, of course. I mean, I guess you could say that's kind of a given, somewhat, a little bit, maybe, but no, I enjoyed the duels. They made them very interesting because of the strategy and how everything worked out with 4-car trains at the end going for the win, basically. And it was cool. I liked the duels. I liked how it worked out, but it's definitely that racing is almost how I thought the 500 was gonna go, but I was completely wrong.
500, that is one of the better 500s that I can remember in recent memory. And we'll talk a little bit more about it in detail. But one thing that I pulled from the duels is that the Fords were fast. There was no Chevys and no Toyotas near the end of those duels. It was 4-car trains of Fords both times. And Ford was dominant in the duels, and we saw it in the race too, that Ford was pretty dominant, and Chevy was nowhere near the front most of the race. It was mostly just a Ford and Toyota battle. And obviously we saw in the 500 with Cindric, and it's just how it is. Daniel, you got something?
I was gonna say, I saw David Land said something about this like a week ago. It was after the Clash. Um, there was something with just the Ford cars, that the Ford cars were too good. They literally had to like change the setup of the Ford cars because just at the Clash, or I don't know if it was like just at the Clash or like just during that whole week, it just they were so much better than everyone else. So they literally had to change some of the Ford's setup because they were just flat out better. And obviously,
Interesting.
I don't know if a lot of that work did anything because of this week. Ford was just on a complete other level compared to everyone else.
Which is insane because Ford did not really qualify well. With obviously Chevy dominated qualifications. The highest qualified Ford was Eric Almirola, who qualified fourth. Obviously, things changed during the Daytona Duels. But it was just interesting to see that Ford worked a lot better in the pack. And Chevy's worked a lot better, I guess, on the single car runs. But obviously, it's the Daytona 500. You're not going to be doing single car runs most of the time. So it's just how it is.
I mean, I guess like because Fords, they have the flat front end. It's way easier for them to push too. Because if you get a bunch of Fords linked up, they damn near can just run away by themselves if they wanted to. Like if they really wanted to, like if they got all linked up, they just started pushing each other, they could go and get away from everyone else. But I don't know. I mean, because you can't really push that easy with the Fords or the Chevys and Toyotas, of course, because they got pointed, like they're pointed more on the front end. But I don't know. I just see it as Ford has the upper advantage on their chassis by being able to have that flat front nose, and they're able to basically hook up and link up and push better. So,
yeah, for sure. And go ahead. Let's move to Friday. So this is the day of the truck race. We'll get into the truck race in a second. But early in the morning, Bob Pockris reported that RFK Racing and Team Penske, had their tires confiscated for the Daytona 500. Apparently there were some problems with it wasn't the tires themselves, but it was the pins, I believe, which is like how the tires would get onto the car.
The pinholes.
Yeah, the pinholes. There was a problem with the pinholes. Apparently, Brad Keselowski had reported that it was a safety adjustment. We'll talk about that a little bit more of stuff that happened in the Daytona 500. But we'll see. NASCAR has reported their penalties for this season, and messing with tires is an L3 penalty, which could resort up to a $500,000 fine, which is crazy, and could resort to a crew chief being suspended for up to 4 races.
That's crazy.
Literally insane.
That is crazy.
I mean, it is what it is. It's a spec car. I mean,
yeah.
Like NASCAR's
right.
never had a spec car before. We obviously see this with F1 and with IndyCar. You don't mess with the cars, and if you mess with the car, then you're gonna get penalized for it. And we've seen it for years in F1. We've seen the last couple of seasons in IndyCar. It's just how it is. And my dad is someone that always has been anti spec car in NASCAR, but even he was like, "Don't mess with the car." You're like,
I mean, it's the rules. This is the rules.
yeah, you follow the rules. But obviously, people always say if you're not cheating, you aren't winning.
That's true.
But let's go ahead and transition a little bit into the truck race. I took the dub on this one. I only picked Zane Smith to win at Daytona. And what happened? That 34 truck for Front Row Motorsports took it home. He won that damn race twice. Obviously, he didn't win it twice. It was proven. Massive crash on coming to the white flag on the front stretch.
Literally, like, from me
Zane
to
Smith.
that flag was how close he was to the line.
And this close. Obviously, Zane Smith ended up taking home the victory after he took the caution and checkered flag, as there was a crash on the final lap. Congrats to Zane Smith and Front Row Motorsports. I think Zane Smith, he's going to go on a tear this season in that 34 truck. That 34 truck is top tier equipment, and we really never saw what Todd Gilliland could do in that car, as he just was always involved in someone else's accident.
The 38 truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 38 truck.
Yeah.
And he was just always involved in someone else's wreck. And so I'm excited to see what Zane can do in that 38 truck. It's going to be an interesting season. Other people that looked fast, I thought Ben Rhodes looked really good. Christian Eckes and Grant Enfinger, even though he was involved in a crash, I thought Grant looked really good, really fast.
JHN looked really good all day.
Swept the first 2 stages. Notable non-qualifiers for this one, the 61 truck for Hattori Racing, Chase Purdy, one of Daniel's picks that I'm pretty sure everyone expected to make the race, missed his first race of the season. Already going to be in a big points hole for that 61 truck, so hopefully he can recover. And the 3 truck of Jordan Anderson missed the Daytona race this season. Very surprising, as he has ran extremely well at super speedways in the past. So interesting that they both missed. Anything to say about the truck race? Jay, you watched it mainly. Me and you were really the only one to that one.
Dude, there's been so much that's happened this weekend. Let me think real quick. I remember that. I think, didn't I choose Christian Eckes?
I believe you did.
Christian Eckes.
I think he was your pick.
Yeah, but he ran up front for most of the part of the day, and I was pretty happy with that. But, dude, what all happened in the truck? I don't think there was like much that.
It wasn't that many cautions.
Yeah,
it was a pretty clean race up until the last like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I just remember the strat. Like, there's a bunch of strategy in stage 1 and 2. The racing up to the end of the stages was really good, actually. I won't even lie.
Yeah,
especially
for stage 2.
Yeah, stage 2 at the end was really nuts. Like, that shit was that was nuts. But I guess I'm just happy Christian Eckes did pretty well. He should have finished second, but for some reason, I think it was Ben Rhodes got second over him for some reason, even though he pitted at the end of the race. And NASCAR gave him the position back. I don't know what happened there. I don't know the rules on that. So, but yeah, I don't know. What about you, Daniel?
So I was able to watch most of the race. I think the first stage I was able to watch like off and on my phone. So like, I don't have like the best take on like stage 1, but like I thought the race for the most part was a really good race. I think you could argue it was. I think any of these 3 races you could argue were the best races of the weekend.
Oh, easily.
Like, all for different reasons. I think this one might have been. I don't know. It's hard to say which one was my favorite, but I thought this was a really good race. I liked seeing a lot of the younger guys and some of the veterans just all kind of getting their time to shine. John Hunter Nemechek just looked great. Like,
he has unfinished business, man.
Oh yeah,
very unfinished business. I think that John Hunter is definitely a championship favorite at the beginning of the season, just because that man had such a good year. He just couldn't do anything in the playoffs all season.
Well, not only that, but in the championship race, he got taken out.
right.
He could have won the championship, but he got taken out in the championship race, and I was mad. I was very mad. But, nah.
Yeah. It is what it is. Let's go ahead and transition to Saturday. Just mention it really quick. The ARCA race on Saturday. It was boring. I'm not going to lie. I watched the whole thing. It was a very boring race. Congratulations to Corey Heim, taking his 2nd straight Daytona win. Other things to mention, Venturini Motorsports completely dominated that race. All 4 of their cars finished in the top 10. And I don't know, it was just pretty much domination by Venturini. Let's go ahead and move on to Xfinity. This race would have been my favorite one of the weekend if there wasn't a huge issue that happened at the end of the race, which we'll talk about in a second. Extremely great racing from the Colleague cars and Chevy. They seemed to be the fast ones this entire race. RCR was up at the front. You saw Colleague at the front. Junior Motorsports was at the front. Jordan Anderson Racing. All those cars, Chevy completely dominated that race. Noah Gregson, like, it was incredible to see what he was able to do. Had some crazy good saves, and it was just good overall. I guess we could just talk about the last lap really quick. AJ Allmendinger, gets passed for the third year in a row at Daytona. He's due for a Daytona win one of these days. But Austin Hill passes him on the backstretch as the race ends under caution for one of the scariest wrecks that I have seen at Daytona since 2015, if not the scariest wreck I've seen at Daytona ever. Myatt Sniders' car spins after a big push leads to a spin from Anthony Alfredo. Myatt's car hits the wall, turns around, gets hit in the back, and
The front.
yeah, it gets hit in the front and flips over like Ryan Newman did in 2009. And the car got light, flipped up, and hit the top of the catch fence. That car flew. And I've seen cars hit the catch fence. We've seen a lot of cars hit the catch fence since 2009. Edwards, Setzer, Kane, we saw Dillon, obviously, Larson. We've seen a lot of cars hit the catch fence. I've never seen a car hit the top of the catch fence. And very scary, obviously. Myatt did climb out of the car on his own power and was okay. Great for NASCAR of the safety of these cars. The thing that's not good for NASCAR is that this was not the first time that we saw, that was not the only time this weekend that we saw a car flip over from getting hit in the back. And while obviously what happened in the Cup race was a lot less vicious, they got to figure out something. Because if this was 2001, I'm pretty sure Myatt Snider would not be alive today.
Or
And-
even racing. If he didn't pass away, he was definitely not racing.
Like
So-
we've seen it in IndyCar in recent years with when cars flip up into the catch fence. In recent years, Dan Weldon, Keedy, and
Robert Wickens.
even as recent as Robert Wickens, I was about to say, it can end someone's career and also possibly end their life. And NASCAR's got to figure something out quick, because we saw it with Ryan Newman 2 years ago, who passed away in the 500. Got to figure something out, because it's safety is getting tested a little bit too much recently. I'm going to pass this over to Jay.
So my take on all this is like, ow. But my take on all this is like, we've done all these package changes. We've tried to figure out slowing the speeds only packs the cars up more, making them faster makes the speeds more dangerous. There's no middle ground in this. It's either, and I'm not saying we don't have to go to Daytona or Talladega. Like, I'm not saying we get
It's
rid of
some
them.
of my favorite races of the year. I can't,
exactly.
You can't get rid of them.
You can't. Like, they're fan favorites. You cannot get rid of them. So like, there's no middle ground. It's either like, it's just not. It's gonna happen. Like, and it's just a freak incident. Because if Myatt doesn't get hit by Jade Buford, he doesn't get put in the air. Because Harrison Burton's flip was the pure car. He did not get touched at all when he started to flip. He got hit just before, but as the car turned more, he lifted in the air. But Myatt Snider's flip, it was because he got hit by Jade Buford, and that air got pushed up under, and it forced his car up. So I mean, you can't really. It's like it's just tough. It's a tough middle ground. There's no real solution. It's physics. It happens, and it sucks. It happens, but this is why we have all these safety measures, these safety overhauls that go into it. And Myatt Snider walked away okay. Harrison Burton walked away okay. Like, that's the whole point in all of this. Like, I mean, like, the only thing you can't say about this is we need to take Daytona and Talladega off the schedule, because you can't do that. You literally can't. They're two infamous tracks. They create some of the best and most memorable races of the year, or even in decades. So like, there's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. You have to be on one side or the other. It sucks, because like, it's either take them away and don't do Daytona, or like go for it. But it's just natural. Stuff happens. Freak accidents happen. That's my take on it. And I'm not trying to be like boomer type. I'm not trying to sound like a boomer or something, but like, that's just my personal take on it. Like, there's no middle ground to it.
You're not wrong. NASCAR cannot stop racing at Daytona. It's the Daytona 500. Even if you're not an auto racing fan, you know two races. You know the Indy 500 and you know Daytona 500 because they are mentioned in all sports of media, and like CNN, Fox, CBS, they always talk about, like, they even just mention, hey, the Daytona 500's this weekend, we're going to have the winner on the Ellen show or something like that. Like, they just show up, and it's impossible to not see a NASCAR race like trending. And a lot of the times, sadly, what draws fans to NASCAR is promos that they see of crashing. In 2020, we saw a lot of fans coming to the sport of NASCAR because of Ryan Newman's crazy incident. And we're gonna pass this one over to Daniel really quick.
Yeah, so my take on this side of the thing, obviously, I know crashes are big. Crashes are like a big spectacle, and like people like to see crashes. Obviously, they don't want to see the drivers get hurt, but like crashes make things interesting. I get that. But if you're Fox or CBS or whatever broadcaster, quit using almost deadly crashes in promos for races. I like I understand it's gonna draw people in, but it's not worth it. And I know, like, I'm sure the drivers are fine with it, but I just think, like, that's almost a little bit crossing the line for me of just, like, especially when it's, like, the day after, because they were using videos of the Myatt Snyder crash in promos for the Daytona 500.
Mhm.
They were like, "Oh, you want to watch the Daytona 500? Look what happened last night. Look
Yeah.
how cool this is." When people almost died, like you know what NASCAR wouldn't have been showing? They wouldn't have been showing it if something certain happened, because right behind that catch fence was Michael Jordan and Bubba Wallace.
Oh,
And of
yeah.
course, in the stills of the video, you see Michael Jordan like woo, because he doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But like, if something would have happened to them, NASCAR would have been in some deep water. Deep water. Because like not only is Bubba Wallace like one of their biggest names
He
in
is the
their sport,
face right now.
yeah, he
The
is one of
face.
the most recognizable faces in NASCAR.
If
You
not
you can
sports.
argue if he deserves it or not, but people know who he is. He is one of the biggest spokespersons, one of the biggest spokesmen for NASCAR and just motorsports in general.
Mm.
And Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players and greatest athletes of all time. Like there were so many instances in this situation that could have gone completely wrong, and I bet you NASCAR is just thanking everything that happened because
Gone
they could have
right.
been in some deep doo-doo.
Cause,
Deep
Denny
doo-doo.
Hamlin tweeted that one of the RVs had a piece of Myatt Snyder's suspension in the grill of the
Right.
RV that was sitting there, which that is nuts. I mean, debris gonna go everywhere. You can't stop that. But like,
Mhm.
yeah,
And every time
that's
a car
crazy.
hits the catch fence, we saw it
Oh, yeah.
in 2009 as the first really instance of the Car Tomorrow era when Carl Edwards got propelled in the air by Ryan Newman's car and flew into the catch fence. Obviously, I will say, catch fence did its job, kept that car on the racetrack. Uh, the fence did its job, and the car did its job. I think that was what Larry McReynolds said.
That destroyed the
But
front end of Ryan Newman's car. That's all we were worried about for some
Destroyed
reason.
the front end of Newman's car.
Right.
Edwards will not make it to the flag.
And then 2013 with Kyle Larson in the Xfinity series, there was a tire that ended up in the stands actually.
The engine ended up in the stands.
No,
Literally,
the engine,
like,
the engine,
It
the
ended up in
engine-
the field.
The engine was in the field. A tire ended up in the stands.
I thought the engine was like chilling in like the middle of the catch fence. Can't remember.
It was in the.
I do remember the
grass.
tire. I do remember the tire
Yeah.
flew into the fence.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember
Oh.
where the engine went, but I know the tire definitely flew into the stands.
Yeah.
That actually-
And
that was crazy.
2015, obviously the most ferocious catch fence crash we've seen, as Austin Dillon's car flew into the catch fence going no less than 200 miles an hour
over
and
3 lanes of cars too.
over 3
At
lanes
that.
of cars and stopped when it hit that catch fence. And NASCAR has proven time and times again that those catch fences are safe. There's no question about the catch fences being safe. There are questions about why the cars are flying into the catch fence. And it was a very dangerous wreck. I'm glad that it's over, but I do not want to see that in any promos. NASCAR doesn't play when Dale Earnhardt passed away. in promos because
touch
they would
it.
get so much hate for it. Ryan, I've never seen a promo with Ryan Newman's almost fatal crash from 2020 because NASCAR knows not to touch it. However, Joey Logano had the roof of his car hit him in the head after his last year at Talladega, and in every promo I've seen for Talladega, including last season, it had that flip in there. So NASCAR's got to figure it out that, sure, cars getting up in the air is spectacular and incredible to watch, but it's getting dangerous. And in literally over half of Fox went to the commercial, and the million of times that Fox went to the commercial in the Daytona 500, which we'll talk about later.
Every time.
Harrison Burton had, like, they just showed it. Like, they'd be like, Austin Cindric is leading the Daytona 500 at break-in. Here's what happened to Harrison 100 laps ago. Like,
oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stop showing it. Like, it's dark now, and this happened in the stage 1. Like, it's just annoying. And
can we all agree
if
that
they're doing like a sorry, go ahead.
Can we all agree that in the first 2 weeks of NASCAR, Fox has already been 0 for 2?
Oh,
yeah, they've been 0 for 2.
Easily.
Because
I've been
Fox needs to do something.
I'm an NBC guy all the way.
All the way.
As much as I love Mike Joy, NBC cares more about NASCAR. And, well, actually, I don't think NBC cares more about NASCAR. NBC does a better job. And there's nothing against Fox, but they have just, it's just not good. And
dude, within the first 64 laps, I was counting. I counted 13 commercial breaks within the first 60 laps.
And only two of those were side by side.
Exactly. I counted them. It was 13 by lap 64.
The first two cautions that we had happened over commercial break.
Yeah.
In the first 20 laps, there was 4 caution. There was 4 commercial breaks.
Yeah.
Like, come on. We returned to racing at lap 13, and we were already back at commercial on lap 19.
Exactly.
Like, stop going to commercial. Like, I get that NASCAR needs money and that Fox wants money and stuff, but come on. Like, you're losing. There was less commercials in pre-race.
Yeah.
I saw maybe
there was
2
less commercials in practice and qualifying.
Dude, there's 2 commercials in pre-race, and I get that people are paying to have these commercials in the 500, but I saw, as much as I love the commercial, I saw the saved at the pump commercial for Advanced Auto Parts 10 times. Like, like, I get that he saved at the pump, but, like, it's just...
It's over the top, dude.
And
like,
it's a good commercial, but it's been 2 weeks and I'm already sick of it. Like
the same thing goes for the Mahindra tractors, Tony Stewart and Chase Briscoe commercial. And I get that they had a different commercial this weekend, but still, we saw the same one that we saw at the Clash probably 4 times this weekend.
If anybody watching or listening like seen any of my live tweets, that's all I was talking about for the first 100 laps.
I get tired why are they playing the Daytona 500 in my commercials?
Exactly. I'm trying to watch some commercials. Stop putting a race in between my damn commercials, man. Come on. But no, back to the promos and stuff. That is something I can applaud IndyCar on. IndyCar does a really good job of not showing crashes in their promos. I really applaud IndyCar on that. So... But
yeah, like I am very outspoken about how I just fully believe that IndyCar is the best racing product right now because of like just the presentation. They are so good at the presentation of it.
It just needs to be advertised.
There are hardly any commercials that aren't side by side. Like
the Indy 500 did not have a single commercial that was not side by side, because that race is so fast, and that if you go to commercial, 20 laps are going to go by. And NASCAR went to full screen commercial when there was literally, I think, 25 laps to go.
Come on.
Come on. It's just, they got to figure something out, and whether it's us going side by side or, like, I get commercials, but IndyCar does not do full commercial breaks unless we're under caution. And
they need to do something, and they need to do something soon, because it's already an issue and we've only had 1 actual race this season.
I mean,
like,
it was a problem kind of in the Clash. It wasn't super bad in the Clash, but they would go to a full screen commercial in the Clash, and there would be 20 laps. Like you said in the 500, you go to commercial in the Clash, 20 laps are gone. Like,
yeah, because like too much happens in races to not have side by side. Like
Exactly. Racing is
like
unpredictable.
you don't have to have 100% of the time having commentary, as long as the race is there. Like me and my dad will make fun because we watch AEW and we make fun of how like every time they go to like a side by side, they're like, oh, it's time for some pitcher in pitcher. But like NASCAR needs to do something about that because they were struggling and they were struggling hard in that whole thing. Like, and I know you can't control when stuff in the race happens, but I feel like there were at least 3 times that they would cut to a commercial and then when they'd come back, they'd be like, "Oh, by the way, during the commercial break, this is what happened," and like a whole tire pops off, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Why couldn't you been in picture in picture?
Why
You
did I
don't have
not
to
see
address
this?
that it happened, but like, can we see it happen instead
And
of 5 minutes
they didn't
later?"
even have video of the Kaz Grala tire falling off the car. You
Exactly.
can't tell me that out of the 50,000 cameras that Fox brings, that you didn't have a single video of the Kaz Grala tire falling off. Like, sure, we saw the tire rolling. We didn't see it fall off the car. Justin Haley's, at least we saw it fall off the car. Like, come on. And NASCAR needs to realize that they're going to lose fans if they show commercials every 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And literally, I think the fastest one we saw is that it was literally 2 minutes. And like they came back from the fastest, actually, I think it was 30 seconds. They came back, said that they were on caution, went immediately right back to commercial.
Yeah, that's
Like-
exactly what happened.
like,
They
at least
just
let
talked
us
about it and then went back.
Let us just see some replays, please. And NASCAR's got to figure it out. I guess now let's just talk about the 500 since we're already here.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Austin Wynn on your first win for RCR in your first attempt. Congratulations to him. Also, I just realized that all 3 of the winners at Daytona this weekend were drivers with new teams.
Yeah.
So, I guess Austin Cindric was always with Team Penske, but
yeah.
first race in that 2 car.
First race in an actual car.
It's true. Congratulations to those drivers, Zane Smith and Austin Hill. Let's talk about the Daytona 500. Stage 1, we did not see a caution on lap 14. Beautiful weather for the Daytona 500. First time since I think 2017 that we've had a race that was not delayed, and incredible. Sorry, my voice is still a little gone from yesterday after I was yelling at the TV.
Yeah, you're good.
Literally, I screamed at my TV when we went to caution, when we went to break with 21 to go.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, "Why are we going to commercial?" And my dad was like, "Calm down."
I think that's got to be the title for this, commercials and
Like for real. But it was just pretty clean racing. It was getting very dicey near the end of stage 1, as we ended up seeing, as the leader Harrison Burton got spun by Brad Keselowski, which led to his car getting up in the air and doing a half flip and then going back all on 4 tires. Harrison Burton's first flip in a Cup car and actually in the top 3 series of NASCAR. Very glad to see he was okay. Took out a couple of other great cars, including the Hendrick Motorsports cars of William Byron and Alex Bowman, who have yet to finish a Daytona 500 in that equipment. I swear, Daytona is cursed for William Byron. I know it's cursed for Alex Bowman, but Byron has yet to finish in the top 30 at the Daytona 500, and this was his 5th 500. It's crazy to think that Byron's already been with Hendrick for 5 years now, but in his 5th 500 for Hendrick, he still cannot finish in the top 30. This wreck also took out favorite for the 500, Denny Hamlin.
It took out James
This was
Allen.
Denny's first time not finishing the Daytona 500, and it was also his first DNF since 2020. So incredible that that streak came to an end. Oh, go ahead.
Also, he had a top 5 streak going on for I think since his last win. So that was the first win of his two back-to-back wins. So that was what, 2019. So
Yeah.
he had a top 5 streak going since then, and that ruined that as well.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. Of course, the Denny fan would know that.
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and transition. A couple other cautions in stage 1 for tire problems. Kaz Grala and Justin Haley both had tires fall off their car. Kaz Grala's tire just fell off as it did not get completely on the pins. Maybe that was the safety precaution that Brad Keselowski was talking about. So we'll see if that he can fight his case a little bit better with that now. Go ahead, Jay.
I do have some words on that. So, I don't know if you guys follow, I think, I'm going to butcher his name so bad because it's really awkward. It's Bazi Taterovic, I think. I can't. But he does racing spaces with the Lannis King. And basically, like, he works on cars. Like, he works with IMSA and, like, NASCAR and stuff and works on the cars. And he explained that Kaz Grallis could have been related to that, but he thinks it was just like more of a loose lug nut situation or whatever in the car, like the wheel just came off. And then Justin Haley's, yeah, well, loose
knob,
the loose knob, whatever you're gonna call it. And then Justin Haley's, that's like actually unexplainable because that tire just destroyed itself, and I don't know how. Yeah, and he said he didn't know how that happened either, but yeah, I don't know. But you can go ahead and finish.
Really, really interesting. That's pretty much all I was going to talk about with those two crashes. Kaz Grala is going to get hit with not Kaz Grala. The Money Team Racing is going to get hit with a fine that I'm sure Floyd Mayweather can pay, but their crew chief will now be suspended for races. And even though that car is going to be a part-time team, they're going to need to find a new crew chief because I think they're only attempting 6 races this season. And actually, they haven't disclosed how many races they're going to be running. I'm assuming it's going to be part-time, and I'm assuming it's only going to be on super speedways. Watch them go and try to qualify for Auto Club next week.
That'd be crazy.
I mean, they have a clean car. They brought it home in one piece, so I wouldn't be surprised if they try to take it out there. Transitioning into Stage 2, pretty clean racing in Stage 2. Wasn't really that many incidents. Am I missing any big incidents in Stage 2? I don't think I am.
I think it was pretty much, they kind of ran single file for the most part in Stage 2.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't think anything really happened in Stage 2.
Got a little interesting. Both Stage 1 and Stage 2 were won by Joe Gibbs Racing's number 19 driver, Martin Truex Jr. MTJ. Daniel doesn't know about that. That was before Daniel's time.
I think that sounds like I'm an infant.
It's literally 2017. In the first year of stages, Martin Truex figured it out. Stage winner, MTJ.
And that's what the spotter would say to him every time he won.
Every
stage
time.
Winner, MTJ.
Clayton Hughes.
Yeah.
But Truex seemed to have a good car. Kyle Busch seemed to have a good car. And it was just it looked like those Toyotas were going to get to the front. However, Team Penske was fast. And those literally all 3 of the Team Penske cars, Blaney, Logano, and Keselowski were fast. And it looked as if it was going to be a battle between those 2 teams, being 2311 Racing and pretty much just like just the Toyotas. I'll just say the Toyotas
versus Ford. Yeah.
And Ford. Stuart Haas Racing was up there as well. And there was a couple other Fords with the RFK Fords that were both up there. Stage 3 is when it really got interesting. People started to get less antsy. Started to see some more pit road strategies, more crashes. Obviously, big ones that we saw was Joey Logano's crash. We saw Kyle Larson taking out pretty much the field. That was a red flag condition.
Oh, I forgot about that crash. Wow, yeah.
That was where
he bumped who was it?
Harvick.
He bumped Harvick, and Harvick was trying to push Almirola. That's right. Dang,
and Harvick slammed into Gregson, who was having a great run in the 62 for Beard Motorsports. He slammed into the wall. It was just other crashes. We saw Tyler Reddick. I think he broke a toe link, I believe, in the middle of a pack.
Yeah, rear toe link as he was coming out of turn 4 and just lost it. And then it was over with from there.
Yeah, took a couple cars out in that one. I believe he took out Joey Logano and in that one, if I'm remembering right.
I don't remember a lot of cars being involved with that.
I think it was only like
There
one
there
or
might have
two.
been a few, but I think Reddick was really the only one that was mainly involved.
It was Kurt Busch. I know Kurt Busch was involved. Or no, it might have
Yeah.
been Martin Truex Jr. actually.
It was Truex. Yeah, it was
Truex,
Truex.
that's right.
Yeah.
But I believe that Jacques Villeneuve got a little bit of damage off of that as well. But that all led to the green-white checkered finish that we saw in the Daytona 500.
And then
Another-
Ricky Stenhouse.
Oh yeah, Ricky Stenhouse had a crash, which led to the green-white checkered.
Yeah.
Green-white checkered finish. Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney led them to the line. Blaney was being pushed by Bubba Wallace, and Cindric was getting pushed by Brad Keselowski in the 6 car for RFK Racing. Still weird to say. Really, it didn't look like anyone was really challenging Cindric at the front.
Because
Blaney
Blaney let him down.
Yeah. Blaney ended up letting Cindric down in front of him, and I think he was going to try to, like, at this point in the race, Bubba did not have a right front quarter panel, so it wasn't like that car was going to be able to get up there and push really well.
He did better. It went great for him, though.
Yeah, I was surprised. I'll talk about it. Coming to the checkered flag, Chase Briscoe got a huge push from Kyle Busch. Keselowski slammed Briscoe into the wall for some reason, getting his car all squirrely. Ended up having him run into both David Reagan and Michael McDowell, slamming those cars into the wall. David Reagan took the hardest hit of the Daytona 500 I have seen in probably since 2020. That car slammed into the wall extremely hard. Glad to see Reagan okay in that 15 for Rick Racing. And Cindric beats Bubba Wallace at the line by 1/100th of a second. Very cool to see. I know, but cool to see Austin Cindric, an Indy boy, Tim Cindric's son,
for sure.
winning the Daytona 500 in his second attempt. Super cool for that 2-team. Shout out to Ryan Flores. I listened to Stacking Pennies. I can't wait for that out. Very cool. Cindric was having to a picture of him in bed with the 500 trophy, just looking over at it. Super cool. Happy for Cindric.
The funny thing with Cindric that it is going to be kind of like one of those weird, like, fun facts about Daytona. So the winners of Daytona always leave like their footprint of their shoe. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
Yeah.
But due to the supply chain issue, he must not have had like enough racing shoes to do that. So he did it barefoot. Which
Beautiful.
I think is just going to be kind of one of those like random fun facts, like when you're on like a Daytona tour.
Yeah,
That's
because
awesome.
I know, because when I was there last year, they have the ones outside the track. They're in like it's their hand. Some of them are handprints, some of them are footprints from their racing shoe. So, but I saw that he did do it with his foot though. That was funny.
I did not see that, so that's interesting. But congrats to Cindric for winning the 500.
Sure.
Super cool for him and Team Penske. Team Penske wins their third 500 in the 21st century. So super cool. They're third in the last, I believe, 15 years. So super cool for Penske. You love it for Austin Cindric. You hate it for Bubba Wallace getting his third second place finish at Daytona and his second place in the Daytona 500. First is a fluke. Second is a habit. Third is like he's gonna win a Daytona 500.
Mm-hmm.
He almost had it this time. I know people were clowning him on social media for being emotional in his interview. Come on,
It's
if
the
those
Daytona 500.
no, this
Shut
is what
the
I'm saying.
hell up.
Right.
If people can, like, I normally don't swear on this podcast, but if people can bitch and complain about Bubba Wallace, like on the verge of tears in his 500, stop giving Matt DiBenedetto sympathy
Oh my
when
god.
he finishes 6th at Talladega.
Oh my god.
I just couldn't make it this time. I mean, I got it when he lost Bristol because he had just been released from Levine Family Racing that week.
And he was out for like
And he was out for them and almost got them a win. Like,
come on, bro. Really?
Stop giving him sympathy. And the same people that were supporting Matt DiBenedetto are the same people that hate on Bubba Wallace.
Mhm.
And you can't tell me otherwise, because we all know it's the same people. And but Bubba Wallace is going to win a Daytona 500 in his career. Third place was Chase Briscoe. Fourth was Ryan Blaney, and fifth was Eric Almirola. So very interesting top five there. Congrats to top five in his final Daytona 500. I'm honestly surprised we never saw him win one. Got very close in 2018, but
it didn't happen.
Surprised that we never saw that 10 car victory lane 100. Yeah. All right, let's just give the Daytona ranking out of 10. I was expecting this race to be a choo-choo train all weekend.
Oh my god, I think
and it wasn't really. Like, we saw, I'd say probably about 30 laps of choo-choo train, maybe 40.
The entire second stage basically was it.
Yeah.
But that's just because people are trying to make it to the last stage.
Yeah, but the entire third stage was side by side.
Yeah.
And yeah, if I had to give it a ranking, I'd probably give it an 8.7 out of 10. What do you got, Jay?
I'm at a 8.5. This is probably one of the best 500s I've seen in a while. Not only for the simple fact, like, Mother Nature let us have it this time. She didn't break us up. It wasn't rain. There wasn't lightning strikes. There wasn't tornadoes. There wasn't hurricanes. Like, we got to watch the Daytona 500 in full this year, and it was a great 500 at that. So,
for sure.
What about
you got,
Daniel?
Jay? What, Daniel?
For me, I would probably say it was like a 7.8. I think it was a good race in, like, the first stage, really, really good. The third stage, phenomenal. The second stage for me was just kind of a snooze fest. And I know, like, it's just because, like, it was all about, like, strategy and trying to just make it through the race. So, like, it's not really, like, anyone's fault that it was a boring choo-choo second stage. But I feel like just the boring second stage for me, like, kind of makes it difficult for me to, like, say it's like one of the greatest races I've ever seen. I know a lot of people, like, on social media were saying, like, this was like an instant classic, like one of the best 500s of all time. And I was like, it was good, but we need to calm down with calling every Daytona 500 an instant classic. Like, maybe that's just like something that I hear a lot, but
Daniel, it was a pretty good 500.
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm not saying it was bad.
I think it's just because you've never really watched a Daytona 500 in its entirety, and we've had some pretty bad ones these last couple of years. Last year, besides the fact that Michael McDowell won, was probably one of the worst 500s I have watched. And the reason that we all thought this one was going to be bad was because the 2013 Daytona 500 exists.
Yeah.
And the 2013 Daytona 500 was the worst Daytona 500
ever,
because it was the first race in that Gen 6 car, and they choo-chooed. That's where choo-choo racing came from. They choo-chooed the entire race.
I wouldn't say that. Choo-choo racing
not where
always
it came
been
from.
around.
No, but that's where it really
that
was
entire
prominent.
Race, because of the package, was
the
a choo-choo.
entire race. And it was because people were careful, because the last super speedway race that we had saw before that, Daniel, you don't remember, 4x4x4x4. Talladega was insane. Yeah. And when Tony Stewart got turned by Michael Waltrip and flipped over the entire field, it took out 35 cars.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, 3 cars made it back to the finish line. People were so careful.
In one piece.
And people were so careful, and it led to Jimmy Johnson leading the entire race and winning the 500. But I thought this was a pretty good 500, probably the best one since 2016. That's really all I got to say about that. Overall, I'd say a pretty successful speed week besides some scares there in Xfinity. Let's go ahead and transition into some motorsport media.
And now, transitioning over into motorsport media. I'm going to start with motorsport media because I don't think, other than the 500, and I don't know, Daniel said he didn't really have much IndyCar news. So, but I'm going to get started with F1, then I'll pass it over to Tristan. So Red Bull has agreed to a new deal with the crypto platform Bybit, which will see the team receive $150 million over a period of 3 years. So pretty good sponsorship, I would say, especially for an F1 team. Big bank. It was announced Thursday, February 17th. Out of the wondrous F1 gods, Michael Massey is fully removed as race director in F1.
Yeah, baby! Woo! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
Now, they said that he is allowed to apply somewhere else in F1 to keep a job in F1.
Obviously.
But he's not going to be a race director. So, I'm happy. As long as he's not a race director, I'm happy. I don't like Michael Massey. He's
pretty
made way too many
calls.
Yeah, a lot of controversial calls. Not even just this year, like even in a couple of years past. But no, yeah. Circuit of the Americas has been confirmed for 5 more years of being on the F1 schedule. So I thought that was pretty cool. And now the biggest F1 news that I've heard in the past week or so. Mario Andretti originally tweeted about Michael Andretti. He has applied to the FIA to field a new team, Andretti Global, starting in 2024. So, American F1 team? Question mark?
Yeah, baby.
Dude, and
we all know who that driver is going to be. It's going to be Colton Herta. And,
it's got to be.
One of the two, at least.
I mean, who else would it be? I mean,
Pato. I mean, it could be Pato too.
It could be Pato.
So what I've seen, this isn't like a rumor or anything. It's just like what people like think could happen. Obviously, because the soonest they enter the sport is 2024. So that's still 2 years in advance. So obviously, like we all know Herta's gonna be in one of those 2 cars.
Oh yeah.
And while they could go for like a F1 vet, who I think could potentially happen if we're talking about in 2 years, and maybe he doesn't do it in the first year, but maybe he does it in like the second or third year that there's a team. Kyle Kirkwood.
Yeah, that's not it's not a bad option there, especially since he's been testing with since he tested with Andretti.
He's got an Andretti tie. He was basically like he was planned to be Colton Herta's replacement driver up until Colton Herta didn't end up going to F1. So
yeah.
He wins in about everything he's in. Like people don't really talk about like how versatile he actually is as a driver. Like I know I have my doubts about him in like the Rookie of the Year case for this year just because of the team he's on, but he is a really, really, really talented driver. I would not be surprised to see him in a few years still being a young guy, potentially getting an F1 push if Andretti decides to go full send mode on their F1 adventures.
But to finish off my segment for Motorsport Media, still with the Michael Andretti and Andretti Global F1 team, one of the possible sponsors to get involved would probably be Gainbridge, because Gainbridge, not only are they affiliated with Andretti already, but they are actually sponsoring the F1 Miami GP this year. So there's already some involvement there. So yeah.
And you know what driver Gainbridge sponsor.
Exactly.
That's right. Devlin Dietrich.
But
Zach
no.
Veach.
Woo!
Zach Veach. Oh god.
Simon Pigot.
Simon Pigot.
Pigot.
But no, I don't know if they're a major sponsor or whatever, but I know they at least have some type of sponsorship in the F1 GP or the Miami F1 GP. So it'll be interesting. I hope there's gonna be an American F1 team. I've been wanting one for a while. So yeah, I don't know. So we'll see what happens. Tristan, I know you got a little bit of NASCAR news over there.
Yeah, all I got is really one big thing. Silly season has officially started way too early, as the top free agent of the 2022 class has gone off of the boards. This was expected, but Chase Elliott has signed a 5-year max contract with Hendrick Motorsports. He will be with Hendrick until 2027. I'm pretty sure Napa has signed on until 2027, I believe, as well. I don't expect them leaving Chase as a sponsor anytime soon. And I believe Hooters is also till 2025, I believe.
They've
But
still got a while, yeah.
yeah, and so Chase's 2 biggest sponsors are still with him for a while, and it's not like he's not the most popular driver in NASCAR or anything. Good to see that Chase will be in that 9 car a lot longer. I think he's gonna get at least one more championship with Hendrick. So pretty cool to see Chase stay with Hendrick. Is there anyone that you guys think that Hendrick, like, I'm pretty sure Hendrick is gonna stay the same this season, and probably will stay the same next season. But when Bowman and Byron's contracts expire at the end of next season, do you see any of them being replaced? Especially if we see similar numbers.
Ooh. I mean, Byron had a really good season last season, and depending on this
So did
season,
Bowman. Bowman had 4 wins.
But the thing about Bowman is
he's not super consistent. He
Yeah.
runs like top 10, top 15.
and
though.
and that's not even Bowman hate. I do
No,
think
no,
Bowman
for
is
real,
a talented
yeah.
driver. Like,
Honestly,
I just think, like, when you look at the numbers of, like, the consistency, like, he's just so much far behind him. And, like, I don't think to quote Denny
Trash
Hamlin,
or
I don't think he's a hack.
yeah.
But, like, I just think when you're looking at the four of them, you're like, if they had to replace any one of these,
Bowman's
it's
the weakest
pretty
link.
obvious who it's gonna be.
So, but I don't know. If I see anybody getting knocked out of Hendrick, it would probably be Bowman. And yes, he got 4 wins last season, which is really good. And like Daniel said, like, I'm a Hamlin fan, of course, but I'm not that type of Hamlin fan. I want to make that known. But I don't hate Alex Bowman in any way or anything, but I like his consistency outside of those wins is not the best. Of course, he had top 5 runs, of course, but if you looked at the majority of the season, I'm pretty sure he had more top 10s or 15s when the rest of the Hendrick cars were running up front. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get there, though. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much it is what it is. If I could see any driver possibly taking, it'd probably actually, in my opinion, probably be the 24. Just because Bowman gets them into victory lane more often. I would think Byron. I don't think Byron will get replaced, but if I could see a driver getting replaced at Hendrick, it would be Byron, and I could see him getting replaced by Daniel Hemrick. And just because Chevy driver, there is a strong possibility that Hemrick goes Cup racing next season. And but you also have to remember that there's another big Chevy driver that is going to go Cup racing next season, being Noah Gregson. The man has been in the Xfinity series for his 5th full-time year. He's been in there far too long, for real. There were rumors of him going full-time Cup back in 2019, and that was before he had even won before. 2020, we saw an incredible season from Gregson. 2021 made the championship 4, even better. Now running a part-time schedule with both Beard Motorsports and Colleague Racing. I think he goes full-time next season, and Chevy has people on the out. I mean, we don't know how much longer some of these guys are going to be racing. With the retirement age getting lower and lower, we see people switching over to Ford. Do we see people switching over to Toyota, as Toyota has exclaimed that they want more full-time options? The rumor is that JT Jordy Racing will be to sell at the end of this season. It's just, I don't know. Do not know. All right, let's go ahead and transition into our final segment. Let's talk predictions for both St. Pete and Auto Club.
All right, guys. So this upcoming weekend is going to be the start of the IndyCar season. Obviously, we're going to get week 2 of NASCAR, but this is the first week of IndyCar. And I'm really pumped about it. I know you guys are pumped about it.
I'm so pumped.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to start off the season in St. Pete in Florida. So we're going to talk some predictions. We're going to say our number 1 pick and then a pick that is our wild card pick. So it might just be like a second or third pick we think could happen, or it could be kind of a little bit of an out there pick. So I'm going to throw it to Tristan first. Who are your number 1 pick and your wild card pick for this weekend at St. Pete?
First pick, I'm going with Will Power, just because he's Will Power, and he finds a way and gets it done. Just in any IndyCar season. Of course, last season was a little bit rougher for him, but he's Will frickin' Power. Like, he's gonna find a way. My underdog pick is Scott Mclaughlin. We saw him run decent at St. Pete last season, the highest placing rookie last season, I believe, at St. Pete. So gonna go with him. I think that 3-car and Penske itself will be strong at St. Pete. Jay, who do you got?
All right, so for my first pick for St. Petersburg, we have, coming from New Zealand, driving the number 9, PNC Bank, Honda, Scott Dixon. No, for real.
Got it!
But no, for real. I got Scott Dixon because he's mad consistent at St. Petersburg, so you can't go wrong with him. And then I guess for an underdog wild card pick, I'm going with Jack Harvey. Honestly, like I want to see what's gonna happen with Jack Harvey this year. New team, He gets away from his old team. I'm not saying anything bad about Meyer-Shank or anything, but like I don't think Meyer-Shank and Jack Harvey were a good mix there. So I hope Simon Pagenaud and Elio over there full time this season are a better mix than him and his old team. But Jack Harvey being with a new team and questionably better, I feel. Right? Would I be right? Questionably better?
Yeah, Ray Hall is probably better.
Yeah. So I can see Jack Harvey running up front. So I don't know. Those are my 2 picks.
So
what'd you got, Daniel?
For me, my number 1 pick for St. Pete. It's not really a surprise for you guys or the viewers if you listen to the show, but my number 1 pick is in the number 26 car, Colton Herta. Last year's winner at St. Pete. I think it's pretty fair to say Andretti in recent years has been the best team at
He won
street
St. Pete last year?
He won St. Pete last
Did he
year.
really?
I believe there were only 2 laps he didn't lead last year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that race. Honestly, I'm not
Was
gonna
it
lie to you.
St. Pete the first race?
It was the second.
Okay, that's right. Okay, because
last year they started with the Alabama Barber.
Barber.
Okay.
That's
okay.
right.
For some reason, I was just thinking that like Colton Herta was about to get redemption. For
Yeah.
getting left
No.
I was about to be like, hold the phone, but yeah, I forgot he did.
Yeah, but Colton Herta is my number 1 pick, and then my wild card pick. I gotta agree with Jay and say Jack Harvey. He ran pretty well there last year, and he's on Ray Hall. Ray Hall is a lot more of a consistent team, and I like Meyer-Shank. I think Meyer-Shank is a pretty good team. I think last season, I don't know if it was strategy, but I just feel like them and Jack Harvey, at least last year, was not that good of a mix. Obviously, they took a step up in what they had been able to do in years prior, kind of going
Big
from like
step
I would say like a C tier team to a B tier team. I think that's a fair statement, but you could really tell like midway through the season when Elio won the 500, you could really see where they decided to put which basket they decided to put their eggs in.
Yeah.
Jack Harvey just he needed a change of scenery, and he's got that at Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan. I think he's going to have a good season. Obviously, they're running 3 cars as opposed to just 2 full-time cars with the third part-time. So that could affect things. That could not affect things. Who knows? But yeah, my wild card pick is Jack Harvey.
I like that wild card pick.
It's honestly a pretty good pick.
Yeah.
Like I definitely could see Jack running. All right, let's go ahead and go over to Auto Club, Fontana, California. I was seeing it called all 3 of those things in literally just this weekend. Of Fox was calling it California, the commercials were calling it Fontana, and other commercials were calling it Auto Club. Which one are we calling it, NASCAR? Because I see 3 different names and it's confused fans. Anyway, I'm gonna just jokingly say all 3 now. My pick for Fontana is going to be Alex Bowman. The last winner at Auto Club.
He's the reason he put it out of business.
Yeah, he's the reason that they're making it a short track. But I think Bowman and the Chevy team runs well in California. It's going to be an interesting race. Underdog pick be Eric Almirola. Not someone that has always ran well at Auto Club, but Ford is having a kick-ass year. And I can see that number 10 car being fast at Auto Club. And I just think Eric's going to have a good last season. Do I think Almirola is going to make the playoffs? No, but I could just see him possibly being up there for contention.
That's true.
Jay, who do you got?
So, in my first pick, I have Kyle frickin' Busch to win the race as my first pick. And Kyle Busch has a good track history at Auto Club, so that's not a bad pick to have there. But I just hope, I mean, it's Daytona, but I just hope the Toyotas are better at, like, I guess tracks not like Daytona and Talladega. Any other type of track rather than a super speedway. So I hope they run good, and that's why I picked Kyle Busch as my first pick. My wild card, and now you people listening and watching, listen to me real close. I'm not a bandwagon, okay? I picked this man before the season started, okay? Austin Cindric is my wild card, okay? I don't want to get called a bandwagon if he does do good or wins or something. So I had this picked before the season started. It's right there. So, yeah. But no, Austin Cindric is my second pick, or my wild card pick to win the race. So what about you, Daniel?
So for me, my first pick is Kyle Larson. Super fast car, won the pole at Daytona. He kind of got cursed with the Black Flags Matter Twitter curse. So
We love you, Darian. We love you, Darian.
Love you, Darian, but you got to stop tweeting that.
Yeah,
for
you
some
got to stop
drivers.
tweeting. I'll pay him to stop tweeting during races. Oh, my God.
So as long as Darian doesn't tweet about Kyle Larson doing good this weekend, I think Kyle Larson gets the win. And then my wild card pick is Christopher Bell. A little bit of an underwhelming race. He got wrecked out at Daytona. I could see him pulling off at a track like Auto Club. Like it's kind of one of those, like, a little bit of like a weird track. And obviously, like, his only win in Cup has been the Daytona Road Course. So it's not really like that track, but I just feel like I could see Christopher Bell getting an early win just like he did last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It is going to be a very interesting like race in the Cup Series. I guess we could just go over it really quick to the Xfinity Series race at Auto Club as well, since we're already here at Auto Club. Jay, who do you got for your Xfinity pick?
Ty Gibbs.
Ty Gibbs.
So easy.
Yeah.
So easy.
Yeah.
Ty Gibbs.
Are we just going for quick names?
Yeah, just quick one name. Who do you got this week, Dan?
You know, without having time to think about this, I don't know why, but the first name to come to my mind is Justin Allgaier. I'm going with Justin Allgaier.
Okay.
Yeah, someone we did not see run extremely well, even though I'm pretty sure he got a top 5 at Daytona. Just didn't get talked about a whole lot. I'm going with another junior motorsports driver. I'm going to go with Sam Mayer. Who haven't really seen him run at Auto Club, but I don't know. Just got a feeling that one car is going to run well.
I can see it.
Yep, those are our predictions, guys, for races this weekend. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. If you liked this video, leave a like, leave us a rate on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Share this on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Indy Boys Podcast. Share this with your friends, your family, your grandma. Say it every time. Let us know any drivers, any people in motorsports that you guys would like us to have on the show. We are open to interviewing anybody, and we have some super exciting anyway, I think it's pretty much all I gotta say. Jay, you got anything?
No. Really just great weekend all around. I'm ready for IndyCar to come back this weekend. Ready for Auto Club this weekend. And the last thing I gotta say is I need F1 to start. So, but no, that's really all I gotta say. Other than, like you said, make sure follow, subscribe, rate us, whatever you gotta do. Give us some feedback in some way. That's all I gotta say. What you got, Daniel?
All I want to say, we got some surprises potentially lined up. So, really excited to see what we can get doing in the next few weeks. Ready to hopefully eat some victory tacos for Colton Herta this weekend. I'm just ready for racing to be back in full swing.
All right, signing off of episode 7 of the Indy Boys Racing Podcast. I am Tristan Grider, joined with my friends Daniel Chaney and Justin Cox. We will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Big dub.